Hey guys, it's Jimmy here and welcome back to Project Cars for another video. Now Project Cars 1 was quite a large commercial success, but it didn't really appeal in the end to people like myself and you guys, sim racers. Now the first Project Cars was quite a big commercial success. It sold a lot of units across various consoles, but it did let down the PC sim audience. The reason why I'm saying this is because the game was very much marketed as a sim. But when we eventually got our hands on it, a lot of us sim racers, including myself, were sort of left wanting more. A lot of the cars felt quite arcadey, quite floaty, and you weren't able to get that sort of same feeling you get maybe in R Factor 2, Assetto Corsa or iRacing. It just didn't exist. So it's been a long time since I've played this game myself, probably over a year. So I'm sort of excited to get back into it and just see, how it feels now. I know the game was optimised quite a bit after its release to make it run better. The game's always been very pretty, there's been no doubt about that. But what I'm more interested in is how the car drives. What I'm going to be doing today is an AI race around Spa in the rain, of course, because when you drive Project Cars you drive it in the rain because it's gorgeous. And I'm going to be driving, as you can see on your screen, the Toyota TS040. I think it's appropriate seeing as WEC Spa is on this weekend, so I thought let's go to Spa, let's make it rain, let's drive a prototype. So on board then in our Toyota TS040 at Spa in the rain in Project Cars. We're being back in Project Cars, I must say. So we'll start those wipers off, get those lights on, and away we go then. 5 laps in the rain at Spa, the source first to deal with, and already AI contact in front of me. AI in Project Cars is infamous for being bad. You might see some of that in this race. I say that already. Car's already dead to the side there, just about avoided big crash. That could have been me if I wasn't careful. So down to Eau Rouge, and as you can already see, or rather you can't see, it's just the amount of spray that's being kicked up at the cars in front. Very difficult to see, and very sort of immersive in that case. Project Cars always did look very good, especially in the sort of rain and night conditions. Going to pull to the inside now. Although this will sort of stay on the outside. I'm trying to just judge the braking point. It's very hard to do that with so much spray. It's very hard to see. I find myself looking at the curbs on either side of the circuit to sort of find out where I am. So through they come for the first time, and now down to Rivage. Unleash that hybrid. A little bit of a boost down to Rivage, and we'll keep it in third gear. Second gear is far too short around here in this quick race mode. If I hit second, I'll just spin, so I'm going to try not to do that during this race. Oh Jesus Christ, bit of contact with AI, even though I was right over to the right hand side of the circuit. And we'll use hybrid to get past them both. Thank you very much. Now hybrid in the Toyota doesn't quite work the way you'd expect it to. Oh Jesus, very wide there at P1. Bit too much overspeed there. Oh, drifting for the exit, very, very scary. Basically, hybrid recharges as hybrid does in real life when you're on the brakes, etc. But you can use it as much as you want over a single lap, and it activates when you're on full throttle. So basically you get unlimited. Oh Jesus Christ, car dives to the outside there, bit of contact on the way through. Admittedly I should have probably some more mirrors on, but I'm relying on the very small TV camera I've got there on the right hand side. Again, relying on those curves as the car just snakes, trying to just find some sort of traction. There's another Toyota in front. I'm right up on the inside now for Blanchimont, not where I really want to be. Not in the wet. I think I just forced in wide, car right up in my mirror now, so I mirror my TV screen. And break down to the bus stop. Can finally use second gear, car goes around the outside, makes me look silly. Thank you, dude, for embarrassing me around the outside of the bus stop. And then waiting for that power to come back. So much of a straight line advantage in this thing. It does mean, however, that it's very easy to spin it if you're not careful through the source. So one lap completed, and I should probably talk about how this feels as I try and find my way through here. Cars 2x2, going to go to the extreme outside. Oh, car comes across. It's very difficult to gauge some of the car's movements sometimes. Oh, it's skating. And the force feedback is pretty much how I remember it. It's nothing special. Oh Jesus Christ, he was very slow in a straight line. That straight line speed differential really catching me out there. But there is weight in the steering, but there's not much detail. I'm only just feeling those curves there, only a little bit. Now I've got the force feedback cranked up to the maximum force I can have, with the default settings. So I haven't done any tuning to the force feedback. My reasoning behind that is that this should feel good out the box. The T500 is one of the wheels that is supported by Project Cars, so the settings that I have should just work straight away. They don't really. Again, there's a bit of weight, there's a little bit of detail. There's about enough detail for me to know when I'm about to have a slide, but it's subtle. It's quite hard to pick out, you know. But now we have to sort of think about the fact we're dealing with a 2-year-old game at this point. Oh jeez, and I was actually one of the original backers. I backed this back in 2013, just so I could drive one of the old Lotus cars, and back then the game was horribly unoptimized. I had like a 550 or something like that, or a 560 graphics card, I forget what it was, something not too great. So it didn't run too well. But you know, I admit, financially that was a very good decision for me, because I ended up gaining about £150 back on that investment of the original 40. So, you know, I made a profit from that, so to speak. Obviously, okay, cheers, mate. Can we go flat through here in the rain? We really shouldn't be able to, but we can. So I guess from that perspective, it did well. But again, as I spoke about in the introduction, there's just something that's missing for us sim enthusiasts. Now, I remember when I drove one of the Formula cars, I think it was the Formula B or the Formula A car, I forget what they're called. They have such a weird gearbox in them. When you go up through the gears, and obviously those cars are basically sequential, up and down, no clutch needed either way. It sounds like the car's lifting off the throttle. I'll try and do a demonstration. It sort of sounds like that when you go up through the gears, and it's very jarring. That's one of the things that I remember about Project Cars. Something that stood out to me. I'm getting sort of nailed through a rouge at the moment. The other thing that I remember about Project Cars the most is the AI, and I already mentioned them already. They were so hard to race with, and especially when you're doing a career mode, which is very much based on you racing against the AI. They were so dangerous that it was very hard to actually have a race with them and not end up being punted or end up damaged. And I know obviously there's sort of like the meme that I hit a lot of people. I'm quite rough with that AI sometimes. With that AI, I wouldn't do that in a real race, you know. But it was to the point where... Dude, shut up! It was sort of to the point where that I couldn't do races. It was just me avoiding AI the entire time. God, this pet engineer is frustrating. There's a car in front of you, see if you can maybe overtake him. Okay, I'll do that thing, you know, the race. I'll be a race driver. Oh, saying that, why the poo on again? Driving in the wet here, there's a lot of grip. There's no denying there's a lot of grip here. I haven't seen my lap times, but I guess we'll get a decent idea what lap times are doing when we get across the line, as again the AI seems to have the ability just to stick it around the outside. I can't do that. Now again, I have ERS, so I can do that, but it's not quite close enough to make that move. You know, the AI, very stalwart in its defence. You won't be able to get past it. Try not to spin it out of Stavro 2. Again, the car scrambling for grip as we deploy all of our ERS. All gone now, and we go very slow. It's still slow now when you're not on the ERS. Going up to Washington again, we'll go to the outside, try and... Yeah, that's a blend. That's 160 miles an hour through there in the rain. And of course, I'm driving. One of the reasons why I'm driving this car, well, two of the reasons really, is one that it's VEC WEC this weekend. I've got to try and separate reality from fiction. Yeah, that's what I thought. And the Toyota is actually the fastest at the moment. Obviously, it's not this Toyota, it's the more recent iteration. So I'm going to dive up the inside. Oh, punts. Yeah, I was there then. Even though it was a late move, I was there, and the AI just did not see me. I love ERS. It's a great cheating tool. 219. That's not too far off what I was doing in the Aston GT1 in iRacing in the dry. So I guess the lap times are a bit slow. I don't know what these cars do in the rain around here in real life. But you see that movement in the wheel there down the straight? That's not happening in my wheel. It's fake. It's fake force feedback or fake movement. I hate sims that do that. There was another sim that did it a while ago. I forget what it was, but it has this sort of fake movement in the wheel when you're going down the straight, and it's like, well, that's not happening. I'm not getting that force. So why are you showing it on screen, you know? Like, very frustrating. And that's what Project Cars was for a lot of people, just frustrating. Now, Project Cars 2 is in development now, and again, it looks sort of promising. I saw a video the other day of tyre deformation under heavy load, which I thought was fantastic, because to my knowledge, graphically, only iRacing do that. Not iRacing, sorry, that's a lie. Only R-Factor 2 does that. iRacing apparently does it with physics, but I don't see it, so I don't believe it. Easy. Need to try and be a bit more consistent through here. The talking isn't helping. Someone said that the other day. It's like, oh, you'll be a faster driver if you didn't talk as much. It's like, yeah, but in the video it'd be just another guy doing laps at a circuit, wouldn't it? Oh, jeez, bad. Case in point, I go wide. But yeah, Project Cars 2. Again, like, it's very hard to get excited with Project Cars 2 now, because I personally have sort of learned from the first Project Cars. You know, I learned that it's not quite all it's typed up to be. It wasn't the first time anyway, and maybe Project Cars 2 will be better, maybe it won't be. But I like to think people have learned this time. Hopefully anyway. If not, then you deserve to waste your money. Oh, Jesus Christ, curbs are scary. ERS. See you later, lads. OP is best P. The inside. Oh, drifting. Again, that second gear. Why am I using it? Sorry, dudes. That was sort of a little bit aggressive there. Maybe that reputation me punting people was sort of deserved. We're coming on then to the final lap. 2:16. Nice and easy through Rouge, up through Radion. Car gets a bit light. That's nice. The car does get light through there. But even in the rain, you know, the car feels fairly planted, you know. I know I'm not doing extremely fast lap times, and lap times are slower, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like, you know, I'm struggling with weather at all. I'm not getting any understeer, the car's turning in the first time, stuff like that, you know, it's just very planted. No one's really done weather right yet, not even RF2. So it would be nice to see a sim that actually does weather right soon. Maybe that will come in the future, who knows. But yeah, so I guess summing up, Project Cars 2 years on, I still feel the same about it. I don't feel any sort of difference. I feel like it's still that. I think I still see it as a good stepping stone between, you know, you have your sort of your console-based sims such as Gran Turismo and Forza. I'm going to call them simcades because people really hate that phrase, but I think that's a good phrase for them because in between. Then you have this, which is a little bit further towards sim, and then you have things like RF2, Assetto Corsa, iRacing, which are sim. So, again, if games like Project Cars get people into proper sims, then that's great. I think that's awesome. I think that is, you know, it has its place. But for people like myself, even casually, I can't enjoy this game casually because of the AI. So, it's not a game that I can play casually. I hope that Project Cars 2 maybe presents itself as a better game for that sort of thing. And I say it as a game and not a sim. But again, with this tyre deformation business they're doing, it seems they are again trying to aim towards that sim market, and hopefully this time we won't be left frustrated again. So through the source one more time, and then we go down to the start finish line to finish off 5 laps of Spa. We're going to come 12th. I'm not going to gain any more positions here. I'm not going to go into second here because I spun last time I did that. The last usage of curves down the hill, and there you go then. 5 laps of Spa in the rain with Project Cars. It was okay. I don't know. It was sort of fun. I didn't have like time of my life. The rain wasn't particularly intuitive, and the car didn't feel like a prototype that much. But it was, you know, it was still a cool experience. Again, we have to again take into account just how nice Project Cars looks. Again, I think that's probably its lasting feature is just how good it looks. But guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit subscribe to be notified of future videos. And yeah, I think that's it. So take care, guys. Have an awesome day. See you next time.